Hello, my friend. Welcome to live chat. Oh, woo. How was your week? Did you have a good week? I had a good week. It was a busy week. Lots going on, but I'm happy to be here in live chat, hanging out with you all. It's been interesting. I did the series on James Charles, which was extensively long and a lot. I did a lot for that, but y'all seem to really love that series. It got a lot of new people to the channel, and if you're new from that, thank you for being here. Welcome. Hope you're loving the content. So I did that series, and then as I was doing that, I was, I had we talked about this last week in live chat, but in case you weren't here, I had contacted Gabriel Zamora because I had a question about a fact that I didn't know the answer to, and he gave me that answer, and then we got in talks about doing an interview and having him tell his side. So at the time I was working on the deep dive that I'm doing on The Ordinary, but I figured it would be better placed after the James Charles series to interview Gabriel. Like, it doesn't make sense to jump into The Ordinary and then pop back into, talking about the Dramageddons. That just didn't make any sense to me. So therefore, that's why we have this interview right now. But one comment that I'm getting over and over and over is, why are we still talking about this? Why are you still talking about this? Why? This was so long ago. Everybody's moved past it. Why you're still talking about it? And what I say to those people is, why did you click on it? And then you'll have your answer. And I don't mean that to be condescending or rude or like, there's so many reasons why we cannot let this go. And I thought in live chat, we would just talk about it. Let's just be honest. Let's just talk about why we cannot let this go. Because clearly there is still interest, since the videos that I do and also that others do on this topic, a lot of people click on them and watch them. And my job here, because this is my full-time job, is to make content that people want to click on. And when I don't make content that people want to click on, and I make things that people do not want to click on, therefore I cannot do this as a full-time job. Because like, if people don't like it, well, people always like, there's always somebody that's gonna like it. But you see what I'm saying? Like, I have to make the things that people want to watch in order to keep doing this as a job. So that's one reason. But I want to talk to you about the reasons why, as a society, why as a community, why myself. Well, when I'm totally off track here, but when I was teaching, we had this thing where we talked about, teaching kids about the world. And it starts like with the world. And then we talk about the land masses, and then we talk about the continents. And on the continents are countries, and in the countries are are states in the United States. Like, so we're going down to us. So we have countries, and then we have the United States, and then we have the states, and then we have the counties, and then we have the cities, and then we have the neighborhoods, and then we have your house. Like, that's what I want to do with this topic, is kind of talk about, like, globally, why we are fascinated with cold tea, and then narrowing it down to why we care, why we in this community care about this particular thing. And I thought it would be interesting. So before we do, I want to say quickly hello to the people that are here live in the collective brain of makeup awesomeness, because we all work together as one giant brain to understand concepts and bring our thinking to a new level. And that's what makes live chat special. So good morning to people that are here live. Christine, hello, good morning to you. Hello, Chloe, member for 7 months. Thank you, Chloe, for being here. Happy Sunday to you. Hello, Tish. Tish is saying good morning to us from Magic Kingdom Ride Lines. And I will tell you that I am insanely jealous of you right now. I will be, the next time I'm going away on a trip with my son in February, and we are going to Universal together as part of our trip. And I decided I wanted to take my kids individually on trips and spend time with them before they get old. And, before they're adults. I only have so much time with them as children. So we're going to Universal, and I'm so excited. That's the late January, early February. So I'm looking at you in Magic Kingdom, and it's like, people that live close to there, like Teresa's dad is always posting pictures from, the theme parks and stuff. It's like, Do people realize how lucky they are to be able to visit those things? Tish, I don't think you live there, but I feel like you go there a lot. And I'm very jealous. Like, do people realize how lucky you are to live so close to a place like that? It's pretty incredible. Good morning, Monica. Good morning to you. Good morning, Daniel. So good to see you. Hello, hello. Hello, Teresa. Teresa says, hello, everyone. I hope you're doing well. Chilly and white here in North Dakota. Hello to Flory and Audra and Steph. Thank you so much for being here and being our lovely moderator team who come here every week and help us to have a nice, happy place to chat. It did snow here this week, and it was beautiful. We had the big, fluffy snowflakes that fall really slow. And we got a nice little powder sugar dusting on the grass before it melted into the ground. But yeah, tis the season. Tis the season. Hopefully you have a nice calm winter though there, Teresa, North Dakota, because I know it can get wild there. Carrie, good morning to you. Good to see you. Good morning, Roya. Happy Sunday. Hello, Dolphins girl. Hello, Collective Brain from chilly, Miami, Florida. Chilly in quotation marks. What is it, like 50 there? That would be cold for Miami. I would imagine it's like 65, and that's like chilly because Miami is even further south than where I just was in Tampa. Amanda, good morning to you. So good to see you. Have a good morning. Hava says, hello, everyone. And Jen, it's been a while since I caught the live chat, but that's because I'm happy to announce that I'm 31 weeks pregnant. Woo! Congratulations, Hava. That's so exciting. Yay. Oh my goodness. Keep us posted on how you're doing. Go, mama, go. Go, mama, go. You got this. Go, mama, go. If I did not say good morning to you, good morning to you. Thank you so much for being here. It really is amazing growing humans in our bellies, isn't it? Isn't that amazing? Like, birth is just amazing. Such an incredible thing. Anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about, though. We're here to talk about why we cannot let go of cold tea. Why can we not let it go? And I think that, like, let's start. Should we start globally, or should we just start with me and then go globally? Probably start with me, and then we'll talk to the community, and then we'll expand outward. So for me, I already said one reason why I can't let it go is because it gets a lot of views. Let's just be honest. And when I get a lot of views, then I get paid. And when I get paid, I can pay my bills, and then I can take my son to Universal. That's that's what happens when I get paid. Is I think that my dream in life, because I grew up, not having money, right? My parents did not have money. And my dream was just to be financially stable. That's all I wanted, was to just not worry about where, how I didn't want to have to go to the grocery store and not know if I had enough money to pay for the food. I didn't want to worry about, do I have enough money to pay the electric bill or whatever it may be. I when I started living on my own, I could, I was living paycheck to paycheck. That's just what it comes down to. So that was my goal. And I've reached my goal to be financially stable, and I would like for it to stay that way. It's what it comes down to. So that's a big reason why I continue to cover the stuff. Because beyond being financially stable, I am so grateful every single day that I can do things like plan a trip for my son and I to go to Universal, that I can take Phoenix to go see their girlfriend for homecoming. And I can't continue to do the things that make me and my family happy if I don't make money. So that's a big motivator. Let's just be honest. Let's be honest. We're not honest enough about why we do things. So that's one reason. The other reason is that I love human nature. I think I have a double major in psychology education, special education and psychology were my double major. And I think people are so interesting. And I think that the Dramageddons specifically, and the motivation for the James Charles series was that we didn't have everything in order. and I've talked about this before, we didn't have everything in order. We learned about things in all these different pieces, and it wasn't organized. And it was really hard for me to see what actually happened. So now that we have all of that all in order, now we're realizing, like, Jeffree Star just did a completely bullshit interview. I'm just going to say the way that he rewrote history in that interview was so irritating. It's like anybody that watched my James Charles series is going to know, like, he like outright lied multiple times in that interview. He's such a manipulator and a liar. And the other thing is, we're learning more about that situation. So, like, we have actively Jeffree Star trying to rewrite history. We have iNabber, who just put up a video, I'm in the middle of it, about James Charles, and he's really nailing into how James Charles has rewritten history and what he's done to manipulate the situation so people forget what he did. So go over and watch iNabber's video because it's really good. I'm only about halfway through, but he talks about how James Charles manipulated people into forgetting what he did or thinking it wasn't that bad. And it's really good. So we've got, James and Jeffree outright trying to rewrite history. And we also have people like Tati going on Michelle Phan's podcast, giving new information about the situation. Gabriel had never gotten a chance to tell his story. So I wanted that to be able to be out there, whether you agree with him or don't agree with him. I wanted him to have that opportunity to tell his story. So he did have that opportunity. We are moving on from that in the next part, by the way. Next two parts are going to be completely different. The Gabriel interviews, they're totally different. They're not lighthearted. They're not they're very heart-wrenching, both the parts. They're not drama, they're not tea. They're really him speaking from his heart about two situations that really mean a lot to him. It's a totally different vibe on the next two parts, but these two parts were really just him kikiing about his about his past and his role in those situations. So we have new information from Gabriel. We have new information from Tati. It's we have, Laura and Manny occasionally will talk about it on their podcast about Dramageddon. And I think that it's just, my goal here is always just to give you the information and then you can do with it what you want. Like, here it is. Here's all the things. Now you decide what you think. And I think that that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do all of that. So those are the big things from my perspective that I wanted to talk about. And I do want to address really quickly the Gabriel interview because I am getting quite a bit of criticism on it, valid criticism on the interview and kind of where I was coming from on it. So I think one of the things was I didn't know what he was going to say, and I don't think I was prepared mentally for how that interview was going to go because I am a little bit slow to process sometimes. I'm going to be honest with you. Like, Phoenix gets on me all the time about that I'm a little slow to process occasionally. So that's a weakness in my interview ability. So I'm sitting there as an information collector and just sitting there as an information collector because that's what I've been doing. I'm very rusty on my interview skills. I was really just collecting the knowledge instead of interviewing. And then I was like, I realized after that I had been an information collector instead of really interviewing. So I tried to correct that in the editing. I tried to correct it in the editing by adding all of the other pieces. But I think as viewers, sometimes we forget like that the additions were made by me. It's the additions in there of correcting him was my voice, right? So people didn't realize, like, it almost seemed like it was me, Gabriel, and then this outside entity that was correcting both of us instead of me. And I can see that. I can see that now. And I didn't think about that it would come off that way. So the other thing is that Gabriel does not stop talking. It's totally fine. It's just, I'm not mad at him for it. He doesn't stop talking. I had to interrupt him every single time. And I don't know if if I interrupt him, is that going to stop his train of thought and stop information from coming out? If I stop him from, you see what I'm saying? If I interrupt the flow, then my interruption could stop information from continuing to come out. You know what I'm saying? So I was really hesitant to interrupt him as he was talking. It was rare for him to stop. Which is, again, it's fine. I'm not mad at him for it because he gave us a lot of information, but I've never interviewed somebody like that before that just doesn't stop talking. So usually there's pauses. But he didn't pause until he was done. So it was difficult. It was a challenging interview, but I will take it that I should have interrupted him more and I should have challenged him more, but there were obstacles there that made that difficult for me to do. So I tried to correct it in post. So that's just, I just want to put that out there. I recognize I'm going to get better. I do appreciate the feedback. I'm not like mad at y'all for like being a little irritated with me. It's totally fine. Like, we're on the same page here. We're totally on the same page. I am still very thankful that Gabriel came on and did tell his story. I mean, you can't change who a person is. He is who he is. And you either love him or you don't love him, but he is who he is. He's very honest about who he is. He loves the drama and he's not going to deny that. Like, that's just who he is. He loves the attention. He loves the drama. Like, I wish more people were honest about the things that they love that may be seen as not positive traits, you know? So that's just where I'm at with it. So I would just, while I'm a little bit off topic, I have a new coffee mug. It says, "Oh, the leopards ate your face." This is Francesca Ramsey merch that I'm very proud to own. If you do not know Francesca Ramsey, if you do not know this reference, just Google "leopards ate your face" or "leopards ate my face," and you'll see Francesca's song and all of the things and why I love her so dearly and why I'm very happy with my new mug and I love it so much. It is political though, but we're not going to talk politics today. But I am going to proudly hold my Francesca Ramsey mug because I love it. Okay. So let me go into your comments because now at this point, I want to expand out and talk about you all and why you can't stop with this. Why do you click? The next question is, why do you click? I already told you why I create. Now I want to know why you click. Okay. Elizabeth says, this is a good point. Elizabeth says the kids don't know and they're now getting the info from James and Jeffrey. It's irritating that they continue to make money and have viewers. Yes. And that's something that Inaber touches on in his video, that the kids on TikTok didn't know all the drama and all the things that had happened. Excuse me, they didn't know. And they're getting the rewritten version of history. So hopefully videos like his, like mine, will people will search a little further and learn a little more about the situation. But I mean, he's getting his views on YouTube are down. Meaning his views on YouTube are the same as my highest views that I've ever had in 12 years on my channel. Meaning he's getting around 1 million views, a little bit less, a little bit more, hovering around that million views. But that is significantly lower than he used to get. He used to consistently get 6-7 million views on a video easy. So his views on YouTube are down, but his views on TikTok are up. And, he's very intelligent. You have to give it to James. He's very smart. He's extremely, extremely manipulative. And he's good at it. And he's fast to think. He's quick to process. He's fast to think, and it's easy. Like, manipulating people is easy for him. He's been practicing. It's very easy for him. He's very smart. So, all right. Teresa says, "I'm so interested in human behavior and psychology." Me too. Me too. Absolutely. Yeah, Renee, it's fine. I don't mind getting criticism. It's totally okay. Because I want y'all to tell me. If you feel like I'm off base, I want you to tell me. I just want you to tell me in a nice way. I've only had to block one person through all of this, and that was because they were so rude. Like, it was really rude. It was nasty. I've only blocked one person out of all the comments. Like, I've gotten quite a few constructive feedback things, and I only block people when I know the intention is bad. It's like, no, you're not our people. No, I don't want you in here stirring up drama. Dolphins Girl says, "The question remains is what James Charles did to Jeffrey to be so motivated to want to take him down so publicly." I think that Jeffrey just, this is just my opinion because I don't know Jeffrey. I think that Jeffrey saw like I think he liked being the top dog, and he saw this arrogant, rude kid about to take his place as being the top dog. And he saw what a terrible person he is. And when Jeffree Star thinks you're a terrible person, it's not a good sign. It's not a good sign. I think that it's one thing when somebody like, when you feel like somebody admirably gets something, but when you feel like someone's getting it and they're not deserving of it, I think that might have really bothered him. Possibly. All right, let me scroll down a little bit. Oh, thank you so much. Adriana says, I actually really like the editing you've done and all the additional information that we might not know or remember. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Yeah. I mean, I did the best that I could. It was actually a really difficult edit. It took me a really long time to do the edit on the second Gabriel interview. Not that I should be getting flowers or anything for that, but I'm just saying it was a lot to try to really think about what happened and try to really present it fairly. So it was a little hard for me to hear that people didn't receive it the way that I was thinking it was going to be received. So that was a little difficult because it was really hard, like mentally, to try to get all those clips in there. And then when people got confused or, didn't really get my vision, it was a little challenging. But I had to take a step back and realize that it's not personal. People are just telling me how they feel, which they have a right to their feelings, 100%. Absolutely. Jeanette says, it's so interesting. I've watched you on and off for years, but since the James Charles video, you've had me locked in. I don't know how, but your videos, despite being about drama, are so calming for me. Oh, well, that's good. Oh, I'm so glad. That's great. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. Yeah, I appreciate that. I've really been having fun with the editing. I do think that I might be going to the point where I might need to hire an editor to be able to do the things that I want to do. I think I might be getting to that point. The problem is hiring somebody that I feel like can do that. So I might try out some things and see. I do have somebody that I could hire. Possibly if Audra's here, Audra knows who. But I don't know. I mean, I'm nervous. I'm so nervous to put it in someone else's hands. Yeah, Jennifer says, like with Adam McIntyre, it's interesting to hear his perspective as a 21-year-old. His content on the Dramageddons has been really entertaining as well. Yeah, Adam does a really good job. We definitely have different perspectives, I think, on some things, but I do admire Adam's perspective. I think he does a good job. I haven't watched every single thing he's done, but the things that I've watched, I feel like he's done a really good job going over it. Glow Chan says, I think that James Charles, who is around my age, still shocks me every time, should be held accountable for real for what he admitted he did. I agree. And I think until he gets caught, which I think that, in my opinion, I do think he will get caught again. He's just being smarter about it. Again, he's very intelligent. He's being smarter about it. And hopefully hopefully he's ceased that behavior. That's all I can hope, is that he's not hurting minors anymore. But, it's hard for people to stop doing those kinds of behavior. So I really hope that he's stopped. I hope that he's just done doing that. That would be ideal. Oh, I'll have to check Dustin's tweet. Mon says, why are you getting criticism? I don't get it. I saw Dustin Daly tweeted about it. Oh. Dustin and I are not friends. So I imagine I know sometimes he gives me my flowers, even though, oh, wait, I forgot I logged out of Twitter because I left that platform. Let's see what Dustin's saying about me, because I'm nosy. Oh, I have him blocked, so maybe it's not going to show up because I have him blocked. That's why I'm not seeing it. Let me log into my bot account. Or I'll just look at it later. Or I could just, I could just look at it later. Why don't I just look at it later? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't know what he's saying, but whatever. Yeah, it might be because James was overtaking Jeffrey. Yeah, possibly. Betty says, what do you think it would take for them to get actually canceled? Going to prison because they wouldn't be able to create content from prison. That's it. Literally, in my opinion. James is so charismatic. Like, honestly, like I will give him the flowers due. He is very charismatic and he's a good talker. He's extremely manipulative. I mean, I think that's it. And I think that also the younger generation and a lot of people just they forgive the unforgivable. We've seen that so much in our world today, the forgiveness of the unforgivable. I think only him going to prison to stop him from making content will stop him. I don't think he's going to prison. Genuinely, I don't. I don't think he is. Teacher Mosky says, do you think Nate was a boyfriend under a 5-year contract? No, absolutely not. I do believe that Jeffrey and Nate's relationship was real. I genuinely do. I don't know. I don't think so. I think that's a stretch, I think. I think that's a big reach. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm too trusting. I don't know. Maybe I'm too trusting, but I think that was 100% real. Veronica says, but now it's just interesting to look back and see what really was going on as much as we ever will know. It's like high school gossip confirmed at your 10-year reunion. That is an excellent point. That is an excellent point that I hadn't thought of. It's like gossip, but confirmed at your 10-year reunion. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Melissa says, I love the Nate question. Oh my gosh. Monica says, I thought you did a good job. You're right that he doesn't stop. So it makes it a challenge, but also I felt you were allowing him to say his piece. Yeah. And I wanted, that was the whole point of it, was to allow him to say his piece. So, and there were also, I'll be 100% with you. There are things that you all, people watching that video, brought up that I didn't think of in the moment. Like I genuinely didn't think of certain things while I was interviewing him, especially with the whole him wanting Tati to apologize to him. I, I feel like they both have things to apologize to each other for if they actually wanted to reconcile the relationship. I think that this is one that they both have real reason to not like each other. And I don't see this repairing because there's no reason to. There's no reason for them to make things right. Because I don't think either one is bothered that the other one doesn't like them. Like, I honestly don't. And I can't tell you that Tati doesn't like Gabriel because I didn't ask Tati that, but I would imagine. I'm just imagining that Tati, it's a reciprocal kind of thing. But there's no reason. They're never going to be friends. They're never going to be friends. They're not each other's people. And it's perfectly okay for people to exist and not like you. And to have beef that continues forever until the end of time. Like, that's okay. Like, not everything has to be wrapped up. And that's the way I kind of see this situation, is that, I feel like it's always going to be an issue between the two of them. I don't think they're ever going to make up. I don't think that's ever going to happen because there's no reason to, unless they have to work together for some reason, which I would doubt they would ever have to. So, oh my gosh, Julie. Well, Julie, remind me to talk about the julep nail polish. Remind me to talk about that in a minute if I forget. Alice says, when Bye Sister first dropped, I was a Tati fan. So my first thought was that something bad happened to one of her 3 sisters. So I was relieved to figure out it was drama instead. Yeah, well, I'm glad nothing bad happened to her sisters. I did meet one of her sisters. I honestly don't remember which one. She was very lovely. I don't remember which one. Tati was doing like a meet and greet at an event, and I was standing with James and one of Tati's sisters. No idea which one it was. It was many years ago. And I was talking to James and Tati's sister for maybe 15 minutes while Tati was doing her thing. And then I got to talk to Tati for like 10 minutes or whatever. And then she went back to doing other things. I mean, she was busy. She had a bunch of other people, but everybody was lovely. Everybody was lovely. So, hi, Jilly Mac. Good to see you. Did we say hi earlier or no? I looked at your comment earlier. That's what it was. Jennifer says, I don't typically agree with Rich Lux, especially after he came for Lily and Jesse's physical appearance. Oh gosh, I didn't know about that. Oh no. But he did have a good take on it, seeing he's a friend of Jeffree Star. I have a soft spot for Rich, but at the same time, he irritates me to no end sometimes. But I have a soft spot for Rich. I do. I have to say. But sometimes he just really just, dude, what are you doing? What are you doing? I didn't know he did that. That's so messed up. Let's see. Da, 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 da. Melissa says, Jen, I really just love listening to you. Oh, thank you. You're so real and genuine. We're about the same age. If I still lived in Maryland, we would be friends. Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that so much. Tish, thank you so much for the super chat. That's so kind of you. Thank you. Have fun at I hope you're having fun at Magic Kingdom. Ride a ride for me. All right, we are at the 30-minute mark, and let's talk about the julep nail polish because I am wearing it. Real quick, if you do not know, I used to have an obsession with julep nail polishes back in the day. I had their subscription. It was like a Julep Maven subscription where you get 3 nail polishes a month. So you collect them very quickly when you get 3 nail polishes a month. And I have so many of them. And then they went into like makeup and skincare, and the makeup just was kind of mediocre. And then they ended up ditching the nail polish subscription like really abruptly, and it was really bad. And then they ditched the nail polish completely and just went heavily into the makeup and the skincare. And they've just basically flatlined and done terrible, in my opinion, as far as their visibility. So they're bringing the nail polish back. I decided I was going to buy one off of Amazon because that's where they were for sale first. I would have bought it directly from Julep, but they were only at Amazon. I put on one coat 2 days ago, and let me show you what we've got going on. This is one coat from 2 days ago. And then I got busy. I was going to do 2 coats, but I got busy and I forgot. So look at that. I mean, from 2 days ago, one coat. Are you serious right now? No base coat, no top coat. I have high hopes. I have high hopes that Julep is this nail polish is amazing. But I want to put it on correctly in order to fully decide. I was just sitting editing the Gabriel interview, and I was just painting my nails. It was a Gabriel interview. I forgot what I was editing. Anyway, I was just editing and painting my nails, and I just, but so far, very, very, very good. All right. Also on my face today, I went into my vault and I grabbed the Disney Beauty and the Beast palette by Sigma and just used the natural shades that are in here. I realized after I pulled this that it didn't really, like the pink in here didn't really match my shirt. So I decided to ditch the pink. I was going to do the pink, but then it was just too, it's too orange in the shift. It didn't work. So I didn't end up using that. But yes, I just ended up using the natural shades from there. And then I'm getting a final opinion on this First Aid Beauty Glow Drops. They're way too weak to use with makeup. I let me put it on my hand so you can see. I know Glow Drops are so popular right now. Let me put it on this hand because this hand doesn't have any makeup on. Just so you can see what it looks like blended in. So if you're into this kind of thing, see how you can like barely see it? I think it's too weak in pigmentation. I think it's too weak. They sent me this in PR, but I don't think it's, I had high hopes, but it's too weak. You can't see it. Like, where is it? It's barely there. If you're looking for bronzing drops that are literally barely there, maybe you're extremely fair, then maybe. But you'd have to be significantly more fair than me. Like compared to the Isle of Paradise Sunny Serum, I'll show you the difference here. Oh, I put on too much as usual. That pump sucks. I wish the pump this here was the same, the way that it is. Like it looks inappropriate at this point because it's not blended in all the way. Because I used way too much. Let me pull a little bit off because it was way too much for a hand. But you can see the difference that it looks like I have a little bit of a tan, but it's too glowy. That's the problem with this one is it's too glowy. So that's where I'm at with those. I'm still going to try more bronzing drops because that's kind of my thing right now. I want to try more different kinds. That's where we're at for those two. Do I need more bronzing drops? No. So I don't know when I'll buy more. All right. Also on my face today, I ended up beefing up the bronzer with the also Set in PR Too Faced bronzer stick in melting bronze chocolate souffle. Too many words on there. My blush today is from Kosas. This is purchased. It's in the shade Saucy. It's the cheek stamp one, but I hate the stamp. The stamp sucks, dude. The stamp is annoying. It's this like really hard, like it's not porous. Like it's really stupid. You're supposed to stamp it into the product, but it doesn't work. So I just use my fingers and a brush, and it's a sponge on the inside, and you're supposed to stamp it in there and then stamp it on your face. It's the sponge would need to be like more porous to like get it in there and get it to actually pick up product correctly. It doesn't. I also got this in PR, the Hindash Doll Dynasty highlighter, which I absolutely love. Just very subtle glow. It's beautiful. So those are the things I want to tell you about. And oh, and on my lips today is just a lip gloss and one of the eyeshadows from the Beauty and the Beast palette. So that is that on that. That is what is on my face today. Yeah, Mon says, yeah, Dustin was bothered, probably. Dustin, unless he decides to, he's absolutely not. Nope. I'm not gonna say what's in my brain because it's not gonna be nice. So we're never gonna agree or get along, and anything he can do to make me look bad, I'm sure he will, because he's awful. So, awful people do awful things. Is what it is. Rena wanted to know what Phoenix named their kitten. Their kitten's name is Delaney. So, Delaney. They didn't want to name the cat something ordinary. So the cat's name is Delaney. Maria says, Jen, when you said everybody was lovely, your body language was saying no, they weren't because you were shaking your head. No, I'm fascinated by body language. That's weird. Maybe because I think that other people would think that they aren't lovely. But they were. I don't know. That's weird. Maybe that's the only thing I could think of why my head was shaking no, because I think that maybe other people think that they're not lovely. And maybe that's what was coming out because they were. So I don't know. But definitely, like, I'm curious too why my head was shaking no. That's weird. Interesting, because they were nice, I promise. I mean, there was clearly like an imbalance there in that Tati is way more popular than me. And they didn't know who I was. But Tati had recognized who I was and was like, hi, so they knew that Tati knew me. So I think I got like some points there with them, but I didn't feel awkward. I didn't feel like anybody was making me feel like I was less than like some influencers have in the past. Anna says the whole drama made me, hi, Anna. Anna says the whole drama made me realize how fascinating it is to see the real personality compared to the public facing facade that they cultivate in their videos. Shocked about Tati's pettiness. Yeah. I mean, this is the thing. I think that people built up Tati to being this angel that was perfect in every way. And she's not. Like, nobody's perfect. I had an interaction with an influencer that is very, very loved years ago. I'm not going to say this person's name, but years ago, I had an interaction with this person who I thought was a really, really kind person. And the person was upset with me about something. And I tried to talk to her about it and I tried to apologize. And she really low blowed me, like really went somewhere where she didn't need to. I think that I had hurt her feelings, and her feelings were hurt. So she tried to hurt me on purpose. And this was somebody that I didn't think was that kind of person. I had put this person up on a pedestal, and yeah, it was really hurtful. It was really, really hurtful. And that was my fault for putting this person up on a pedestal, being such a nice person. And I think that's what happened with Tati, in that, she's just a human. She's just a person. We can all be petty sometimes. That's the thing, is we look at these influencers and we're critical of their behavior, but it's like, aren't we all a little petty sometimes? Don't we all act in like a way that society may look at us and go, oh, that wasn't the right decision occasionally. None of us are perfect. And I think that's where we go wrong with people like Tati, is holding them up on a pedestal that they are the beacon of goodness, and that we separate influencers into good and evil. And I think and I hesitate to say this because I do think Jeffrey is an awful human being. I don't think Jeffrey is evil. I think he's just awful. Um, and I think there is a difference between evil and awful. I think he has awful takes. I think he has awful perspectives. I think that he treats people awfully. But I don't think he's evil. I don't think he's cruel. I think he's manipulative and will do what he can to get ahead. I think James is more evil than Jeffrey is. Because I do think that Jeffrey cares about the people that are around him genuinely. The people he cares about, he genuinely cares about and will help and will do things for the people he genuinely cares about. And this is from people that I've talked to behind the scenes as well. The Jeffrey takes care of people and genuinely cares about people. Where I feel like James is more, from what I've seen, I don't know either of them personally. From James, what I've seen is he really just cares about himself. Like genuinely is extremely selfish. And I wouldn't put it past him to throw best friends under the bus. He's done it before, and I would imagine he would do it again. I do think if I would say who is a more evil person, meaning that they have a colder heart, I would say James does. I mean, I think they're both terrible. Don't get me wrong. I think they're both awful. And I wouldn't be friends with either one of them. But I think that we get in a danger zone when we put people into a category of good and evil, putting Tati good, Jeffrey evil, or James evil, or Gabriel evil, So, but it's so much easier to do that. It's so much easier to do that. Oh, thank you for the super chat, Jay. Jay said, I never thought Tati was perfect, but I thought she was professional. Great point. And that's what made it odd for me that she went into public drama. That is a very fair and excellent point, because she did present herself as being professional. And I've talked about this before. I think that Tati was a little lonely as an influencer in that she didn't have the same friend groups as other people did. She was kind of on an island on her own, and this was her way to have a friend group and have a friend group that was extremely powerful, that she could be on their channels. They could help her grow. She could help them grow. And I think that it was financially in her best interest. It was socially in her best interest. Probably emotionally, she thought it was in her best interest to make that alliance. And, a lot of Tati fans were very upset with her when she became friends with Jeffrey for obvious reasons. Anybody that's going to be friends with Jeffrey, I'm going to side eye. Period. I side eye Rich because of his past friendships with Jeffrey. I side eye Gabriel because of his past friendships with Jeffrey, and anybody. I'm like, I'm sorry. There's deal breakers there for me personally, but I see what you're saying here as far as not thinking Tati, that you didn't think Tati was perfect, but you thought she was professional because she did act out of character. And that's something that Rich had said in our voice messages that I didn't play for you because it wasn't quite on topic. But he was talking about, he tells this story. I don't know which voice message it is, or I would play it for you. But Rich says, there's a movie, it's Batman and the Joker. I've never seen it, but he tells the story about Batman and the Joker and how Batman, goes and he stabs the Joker, he attacks the Joker, and the Joker's laying there dying, and the Joker's laughing, and he's like, why are you lying? Why are you laughing? And he says, because I got you to act out of character, is basically, what happened, because it made Batman look bad because he doesn't kill people like that. I don't know. This is just what Rich said. And James and Jeffrey got Tati to act out of character, which was detrimental to her because they needled her and poked her and got her to act out of character. They got her to break. And that's what I think Jay's talking about here. And it's fascinating because it is human behavior, because we've gotten off topic for 15 minutes. because we're talking about why we continue to watch as a community. And I think that seeing that happen, um, I think was hard to see because we thought that Tati was better than that, but we didn't count on Tati being human in that way, that she could be pressed to the point where she would act out of character, and she did. I wish I could play that clip that Rich sent me. It's kind of long, but I feel like he really got it there. Yeah, Jilly says, I don't know, Jen. I think you're splitting hairs on Jeffree Star. I get sociopathy vibes from both of them. Yeah, probably. Probably. I mean, I please don't get me wrong. Jeffree Star is a terrible person. He's a terrible person. I've said it multiple times. He's a terrible person. Terrible person. Terrible takes, terrible thoughts, done terrible things. I just feel like that he has more of a heart for the people he cares about than James has a heart for the people he cares about. I think James, like if there's the Titanic is sinking, right? And they're both on the Titanic. Jeffree would be Rose on, like if they have their friends, right? Okay. Remember the scene in Titanic where Rose and Jack are trying to get on they're trying to find a place to be safe after the Titanic is sunk and they're swimming together, right? Jeffree is Rose. The friend is Jack, like this person, this friend. And James is the guy that goes over to Rose and tries to dunk her because he's trying to save himself. Where Jeffree is Rose, right? And hopefully you're getting where I'm going with this. Where Jack is sitting there freezing to death and they don't try hard enough to get Jack on the damn door. That's Jeffree, right? But I think James is the guy that tries to dunk Rose in order to save himself. Both not good actions, but I think the person trying to murder somebody, like trying to dunk somebody, is worse than Rose not thinking about getting Jack up on the door. I don't know if that makes sense. There's nuances. My point is that there's nuances, right? Maybe Jody can help me with the Batman reference. Jody says it's true. Batman is almost always virtuous, not killing the villains and prioritizing saving innocent civilians over catching bad guys. Then Ben Affleck ruined the character like the dork he is. It wasn't Ben's fault. It was in the script, I'm sure. So, I mean, my point in saying all of this is for us to remember these people are people. They're people. They're not television characters with story arcs. They're actual people. And we can look at some people and say, you know, maybe there's something good in there somewhere. And that's all I'm saying. There might be something good in there somewhere. Do I care about the goodness that might be in Jeffree Star? No, not really, because there's too much that's a deal breaker for me. No. But recognizing that it might be there is different than excusing his behavior or his current attitudes. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? Hopefully I'm doing okay. All right, Angie gets my analogy. Okay, good. This is interesting. Liz says, a lot of gay men and boys grew up on survival mode. Lying becomes a way of relating to the world. It's unfortunate. That's an interesting take. Molly says, James is Rose's fiance who grabs a random child to get on a boat. Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. I've watched that movie too many times. Yeah, like exactly what Kelsey's saying. Kelsey says, I will say that even though Jeffree Star is a terrible person, he does actually donate a lot of money to LGBTQ plus charities and doesn't really boast or brag about it. I learned that from Peter Mott. Yes, that's kind of what I'm saying. It doesn't negate anything. But it's something to consider when we're talking about levels of evil. It's something to consider. It's something to think about. And really, like I said, if you disagree with me, that is totally okay. Totally okay. Because my whole thing here is just to get a conversation going and to maybe, you know, give you something different to think about, possibly. And I'm not saying, just to be 100% sure, I'm not saying give Jeffree Star a pass, because we absolutely should not. 100% should not. I do not like the guy. Okay. Just want to make sure I'm very, very clear on that. Very clear. Point blank period. Do not like him. 0 out of 10. Do not recommend. All right. So now that we've talked about the Yeti says Rose was horrible with some laughing crying emoji. I know, I agree. Okay, so now that we've talked about me, we've talked about the community as a whole, as a world, as a society. Why do we care about cold tea? Why do we care about these people and about Dramageddon all these years later? Why are people clicking on my videos when I talk about it? Why? And I think honestly that I think a lot of us have a fascination with human behavior. And I think a lot of us we want to have a conclusion. We want to have it wrapped up in a bow so we can be done with it. And there's so much that we just don't know and don't understand even still. And I think that's part of why I wanted to interview Gabriel, is I feel like globally, there are perspectives we haven't heard. And that was kind of the goal with Gabriel. Did we get there with the interview? I don't know, to be honest. I don't know. Hopefully, at least a little. Hopefully. I feel like I got a couple of pieces there that I didn't know that I feel like are probably true. But I think we like the story to have an ending. We like to understand what happened and have it have an ending because that's what happens on TV in shows that don't get canceled. That's what happens. And I feel like a lot of us just have this open feeling, just humanly, that it never really concluded in a way that felt like it was concluded. That's really kind of where I feel like globally we are on it, is that it never really felt like it ended. Even though it did, because they all took like a year break. Yeah, this one too. I love this, Catherine. This is such a great point. Because history repeats itself, there will always be terrible people, but we can learn from identifying patterns of behavior. I love that so much, Catherine. Thank you for bringing that up. I love that so much because you're absolutely right. We can learn from identifying patterns of behavior. And that was what we talked about in the James Charles series, was finding those patterns of behavior. 100%. And hopefully it helps us to grow as a society. Hopefully. I don't think it will because, where we're at, but it's a nice thought that maybe one day we'll evolve. Annette says, perspective and hindsight mixed, our own personal growth and understanding of human behavior. Yeah. What's really unfortunate is that we die and come back as babies. It's really unfortunate. Let me explain. That we go through our whole lives learning all of these things and getting all of this knowledge and having all these experiences, and then we just die. And it's like, now there's a baby born and they got to start all over again. So our only hope as a society is to pass that information on to the next generation so they can be better. And I think that's why a lot of people get frustrated with like Gen Alpha being so like the Andrew Tate-ness of Gen Alpha and all of that. I'm not going to get into it, but you know what I'm saying? Like when we see that I think that's why every generation, like there's that song, every generation blames the one before, like that song. So true, right? Because we're frustrated because we know we're going to be gone and that the only hope is the people that are the younger generations. And we're like, what? Can you please just learn from our mistakes so that you don't do those again? So there'll have been a point to all of this. And it's extremely frustrating to see younger generations not learning from the mistakes of the past. It's extremely frustrating. And I think that those of us that are telling the story and watching the story and trying to wrap our brains around the story are trying to develop that understanding so that it can go into the younger generation. So maybe we can evolve mentally in society. And then we have huge setbacks and it's like, what is happening? So thank you, Annette, for that. I appreciate you. And this is another, how about thank you? For me personally, it's entertaining and fascinating. I always get new information, which is always nice to know. Love that. Absolutely. The entertainment factor is definitely a global thing. The entertainment factor. Absolutely. Monica, another great point. I wasn't there when it happened, so a lot of this is new to me, and it is to a lot of people. Another fantastic point. This is what the collective brain is all about. Another fantastic point. Yeah, Veronica says the tea is so hot for us. We never got to know what happened. Yes, I love that. Absolutely. Robin says it still wasn't resolved as stuff of JC was proven true, but yet Jeffree Star and Shane also acted nasty and horrific. And I think that's something that a lot of people have trouble with, is that they were right about him being a predator. And I say James is a predator because James admitted to predatory behavior. When you admit to predatory behavior, it's been proven that you've done predatory behavior, that makes you a predator, right? Can we all agree on that? I hope. Somebody said once that James should sue me for calling him a predator, which, like, definition, it's there anyway. But because Jeffree Star and Shane are proved to be such awful people, that their voice just didn't matter. Tati threw her credibility out the window. So it was like everybody that was accusing James of what he actually did and what ended up getting worse, because their voices weren't credible, that ends up making James like, oh, well, maybe he's not that bad. Maybe it really wasn't that bad. No, it really was. It really was that bad. It really was. Wait a minute. What? Roya, go back and watch the movie. Jack was already dead by the time she got on the lifeboat. Wouldn't it have been nice, like, if they like taken his body and like put like, then she could have like visited him at his grave, but she just let him sink. It was sad. Poor Leo. Alyssa says, I feel like Tati resurfaced an interest in this. Didn't she get on a podcast? Yeah, Michelle Phan's podcast. It could be confusing her with, I could be confusing her with Jack and Hill. No, they both went on podcasts to rehash old things. And it brings attention on them too. Absolutely. Absolutely. Bye, Keisha. All right, Eustacia, thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate you. I'm clicking for two reasons. One, makeup was my pandemic hobby, so I missed all this. Two, my life is quiet, except for real problems that are not fun to dish about. Instead, I dish about these strangers. Fair. Absolutely fair. Absolutely fair. Yeah, Jay says Jeffree Star wore what kind of person he was on his sleeve. Absolutely. And people still didn't see why he was problematic. That's a societal issue in itself. If you don't see why Jeffree Star is problematic, then that's a I knew him from MySpace. I was aware of him for a while before the makeup stuff. Yeah, and it goes beyond, like, when I was researching for the James Charles series, the things that he has been accused of in that MySpace time are horrible. Like, atrocious, horrible. And he's apologized multiple times for the stuff, and it's up to people whether they believe it or whatever. But it was horrible, the things he was accused of. It's really just a Google search away, because I don't want to. But yeah, I mean, even up to, recently, the horrible things that he said, just. The most recent thing that bothers me is the stuff that he said about non-binary people, because I do have a non-binary child, and I know some people will agree with Jeffree because, to be fair, you don't understand non-binary people. If you don't feel like non-binary people exist, or if you don't feel like that it's a valid gender expression, then I suggest you educate yourself, because you can't, just because you don't believe something exists doesn't mean it doesn't. And it's really just extremely ignorant. And he said some pretty awful things, and I that was the most recent. But I've had issues with Jeffree Star. The racism thing was always a thing for me. That was always, like, absolutely freaking not. So yeah. This is interesting. Tiffany says, I like this cold tea because it's like a true crime thing without violence. It's fascinating. Yeah, I think so. Tomoko says, also your videos with Gabriel, like, for me, gave me a new perspective about him. I didn't like him, but listening to his part was truly eye-opening. Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I appreciate about Gabriel is he is just being himself. He's not trying to manipulate you. He's not trying to show you, in my opinion. I feel like he's just, well, maybe he is a little bit in the way that he presents things, but overall, he's just being himself, like genuinely. And he likes drama, and he'll be the first to admit that. And he's messy. He's messy, and he'll say I'm messy. He's gotten a lot better with it though. He has. He's stayed out of the mess for a while. There was enough room on the door for both of them, Jilly. There was enough room. Veronica says, Tati's trajectory was so interesting. I started watching her in 2015 and she had this big underdog energy. And it seems like despite that changing, her mindset never did. Yeah. That would be an interesting deep dive just on Tati in general, like her growth. Like I did those Why People Watch. Back in the day, I did a bunch of those. I did one on Jackie Aina. I did one on Rob Beauty Christie, which that's a thing. I did one on Taylor Wynn. Forget who else. But that would be interesting to do something like that on Tati one day and just go back to the beginning and talk about why people have watched her over the years, because it's definitely changed. Nefertiti, thank you so much. Oh, and you left so many nice, I appreciated all of your comments, both critical and complimentary on the interview. I appreciated all the interaction on that video. So thank you for sharing your thoughts and your feelings on that video. That was, I appreciated it a lot. And thank you so much for the lovely super chat. She says, I think I was still interested because I remember watching it go down live and having so many questions. Yeah, absolutely. So much mess was going on then. Out of nowhere, people say sorry and disappear. Yes. Thanks for trying to get more info on and hope for more interviews. Yes. Thank you so much. And I do genuinely appreciate your constructive feedback, like genuinely and truly. Thank you so much for taking the time to share that with me. I appreciate it. And thank you for the lovely super chat. That's so kind of you. Thank you. Oh my gosh, are we out of time? How did that happen? How did that happen? I will say one last thing. I hope that one day the leopards eat Jeffree Star's face and James Charles's face. I hope both their faces get eaten. Genuinely. I wish nothing but the leopards eating their faces. It's a figurative expression. I do not wish death on them because that would be mean. But I do hope the leopards eat their faces. Just saying, especially Jeffree. He deserves it. That's where I would end that one. Thank you all so much for being here. I appreciate you. Next week, I don't know what's happening with live chat or content next week. I'm going to work on content. And if it gets done, it'll go up. If it doesn't get done, it won't go up. That's what it's going to come down to, is I'm just going to work. And but I have a lot of things going on because we do have our American Thanksgiving, United States. I shouldn't call it American because America is, huge. The US Thanksgiving is next week. So I have a lot going on. I will work as much as I can. If something goes up, it'll go up. If it doesn't, then it'll be the next week. That's what it comes down to. But I'm prioritizing the Thanksgiving stuff. So we will see how that goes. Thank you again so much for being here. Mad love to you. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. If you celebrate Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving and happy Native Peoples Day. Mad love to you. Have a good week. I'll see you soon. Bye.